can never be the same again.
The Satanic Santa of Happy Pines. They say Christmas is meant for joy, for family gatherings and the warmth of firelight. But in the town of Happy Pines, there's another story, one whispered only when the lights are out and the snow is falling thick. A story of a Santa that doesn't bring gifts, but curses. A Santa dressed not in jolly red, but in garments black as coal, with eyes that gleam like burning embers in the dark. The locals call him Krivus, the Satanic Santa. According to the old town records, Happy Pines was founded in the late 1800s by a group of settlers fleeing persecution. They built their homes on the edge of a deep, uncharted forest. At first, everything seemed fine, until children started vanishing every December. Parents would put them to bed on Christmas Eve, only to find their beds empty come morning. The only sign left behind was ash scattered across the floor, and sometimes, a blackened footprint pressed into the wooden boards. The town priest claimed it was the work of the devil himself, masquerading as Santa Claus to lure children away. But the elders whispered of a pact, a dark covenant made generations earlier. To bring prosperity to Happy Pines, the settlers had invited something ancient into their midst. And every winter, it came to collect its due. In modern times, the legend of Krivus was treated like a campfire tale. Kids dared each other to wander into the woods on Christmas Eve, joking that they'd find the Satanic Santa feasting on lost children. But few ever dared go far, because the deeper you went into Happy Pines Forest, the stranger things became. The trees bent unnaturally, the snow never seemed to melt, and if you listened closely, you could hear sleigh bells jingling, not the merry kind, but slow, distorted chimes, echoing through the blackness. Our story follows Clara, a college student returning home to Happy Pines for Christmas after years away. She never believed the legends. But her little brother, Jamie, was obsessed with Krivus. He had collected every old article, every scrap of folklore. That Christmas, Jamie told Clara he had found something, an old diary hidden in the town library archives. The diary belonged to a settler named Matthias Crane, and within its yellowed pages, Matthias described the first encounter with Krivus. He wrote of a figure that climbed down the chimney, not with a bag of toys, but with a sack writhing with screams. Matthias claimed he saw the figure set the children upon a throne of bones deep within the forest. At the very end of the diary was a warning. Never invite him, never call his name, for if you do, the bells will answer, and he will come, hungry for your soul. Jamie, half joking, half serious, wanted to test the legend. On Christmas Eve, he convinced Clara to join him in the woods at midnight. Into the forest. Snow fell thick as they trudged into Happy Pines Forest. Their lanterns flickered, the cold biting through their coats. At the center of the woods, Jamie pulled a scrap of parchment from the diary, an old ritual that settlers supposedly used to summon Krivus. Clara laughed nervously, but Jamie began to chant. The words were harsh, guttural, not of any language she knew. The wind howled, trees groaned, and suddenly, a sound drifted across the forest floor, bells, deep and distorted, clanging in the distance. The snow beneath their boots turned black. The air grew suffocating, and then, in the distance, Clara saw movement, a tall figure, cloaked in shadow, dragging a heavy sack behind him. He looked like Santa twisted through a nightmare. His robe was crimson once, but soaked black as though in dried blood. His beard was matted and filthy, crawling with ash. His sleigh wasn't pulled by reindeer, but by skeletal beasts with antlers sharp as blades. And his face, oh, his face, was not jolly, not kind. His smile split his jaw wide, revealing rows of jagged teeth, glowing faintly red like hot coals. His eyes burned with hunger. Krivus stopped before them, the sack writhing as muffled cries seeped out. Jamie stood frozen, and Clara grabbed his arm, urging him to run. But Krivus spoke, his voice deep as an avalanche. You called me, you invited me, one of you must come. Krivus opened the sack, and Clara glimpsed pale faces within, children, their eyes wide, their mouths moving silently in pleas. She yanked Jamie's arm and fled, snow crunching underfoot, heart hammering. Behind them, bells roared like thunder. The forest seemed to shift, trees bending to block their escape. Jamie stumbled, screaming as something yanked at his leg. Clara turned and saw Krivus's shadow stretching, clawed hands wrapping around her brother's ankle. In a panic, Clara grabbed a shard of broken branch and stabbed at the shadow. It shrieked, releasing Jamie, and for a moment they were free. But Krivus was relentless, stalking them, always just behind, the jingle of bells growing louder. The siblings burst into a clearing, and there it was, a house made entirely of ash and bone. Smoke curled from its chimney, and on its roof sat figures, children with hollow eyes, watching silently. Krivus's voice thundered. All who summon must enter my hall. Choose now, your blood, or your kin. Clara realized the truth. The ritual demanded a sacrifice. One life for another. If neither gave, both would be taken. Jamie, tears streaming, whispered, "He wants me." I called him. "I'll go." But Clara couldn't let that happen. She shoved her brother back, standing firm as the shadow of Krivus loomed over her. His sack opened wide, and the cries grew deafening. When the townsfolk found Jamie the next morning, he was collapsed at the edge of the forest, clutching the diary. Clara was gone, only a trail of ash marked where she had stood. Every Christmas after, Jamie swore he could hear her voice among the cries when the bells rang through the night. He never told anyone the truth, but in his dreams, he saw his sister, dressed now in blackened robes, her eyes glowing faintly red, standing beside Krivus as one of his eternal helpers. And the legend of the Satanic Santa lived on. Because in Happy Pines, children still vanish on Christmas Eve. And if you listen, late at night when the snow is thick and the fire burns low, you might hear the bells. And when you do, pray that no one you love invited him in. If you enjoyed tonight's tale, remember to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who loves a good scare.